Hello, Dr. Cisse covering anatomy and physiology. Today I will talk about the heart, but specifically the blood vessels coming to the heart or going away from the heart. We call them the great vessels. Here is the heart. A little bit tilted to the left side. So this will be the left side of the heart, the right side of the heart. Then the heart has four chambers: atrium, ventricle, ventricle. So I'll be dividing like this, like that. Okay, like this. Here I have the left atrium, the right atrium, the left ventricle, and the right ventricle. Okay? Now, when you see the model of the heart, you will see that some vessels are in blue, some vessels are in red. Now, if you have a blood vessel taking blood away from the heart, like pumping, when the heart pumps blood, all the vessels that are used to pump blood will be called arteries. Arteries. So arteries, their job is to pump blood away from the heart. But the one bringing blood to the heart are called veins. Now, when we see the coloring on the model, we see blue and red. It is not because of the fact there are artery and vein. It is because of the type of blood in those blood vessels. If blood is oxygen-rich blood, we use the red color. If it's oxygen-poor blood, we use blue. I'll be doing the same thing here. First, how does the heart receive or eject blood? First, the atrium, the right atrium, left atrium. Atrium means doorstep. They receive blood. So blood comes to the atrium. It depends on where it's coming from. Blood can come from the whole body when tissues are served and they produce their waste and carbon dioxide. That blood can come back to the heart. Or when blood goes to the lungs to get rid of that carbon dioxide, it can come back to the heart again to be pumped. I'm going to start with the right atrium. The right atrium receives blood from two main veins. The one on the top is called superior vena cava. Superior vena cava. That will be the vein that receives blood from the top part of the body. And the vein at the bottom is inferior vena cava. Vena cava. That one receives blood from the bottom part of the heart, of the body. So these two are veins receiving, so I'm going to move this a little bit so you can not be confused. It's going to come here like that. Going to be under it, behind it. Both of them will get blood to the right atrium. So this blood will be poor oxygenated blood because it came from the body. Right atrium. What about the left atrium? It also receives blood, but from where? It receives blood from the lungs after blood has get rid of the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, and receive oxygen. Here we have the vein receiving, because they receive blood, their vein. But where do they come from? From the lungs. That's why they're called pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. So the pulmonary veins are veins that receive blood from the lungs. So this pulmonary vein will be receiving blood from the lungs after it took oxygen. So you can see that the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and pulmonary vein receive blood either from the whole body, blue, or from only the lung, red, because the atrium receives blood. What about the ventricle? When blood is received by the atrium, the right atrium. That blood will go down to the right ventricle. When blood is received from the left atrium, that blood will go down to the left ventricle. But what is the job? What would happen after that? The right ventricle will pump blood, because it's the dirty blood, it's the blood with carbon dioxide. It has to go to the lungs. That is why it will go through the pulmonary trunk that will be divided into right and left pulmonary arteries. Why are they called arteries? Because they pump blood. Why these are called vein? Because they receive blood. So the pulmonary trunk that will be divided into left and right pulmonary artery will pump blood to the lungs. When that lung receives blood, it will exchange carbon dioxide for oxygen. It is the same blood that will be returning to the pulmonary vein back to the heart in the left atrium. And that blood is the one that will come down to the left ventricle to be pushed out, pumped out through the aorta. Aorta. So I'm going to put it here, aorta, which is what? An artery that will pump blood to the body. Again, these are the great vessels. Where are they? The superior vena cava, inferior vena cava will receive blood from the body, deoxygenated blood that will go down to the right ventricle to be pushed out by the pulmonary trunk to go to the left and right pulmonary arteries to go to the lung. When it go to the lung, it'll come back through the vein that will have oxygenated blood. It received the oxygen from when we breathe, back to the pulmonary vein, to the left atrium, down to the left ventricle, so that the left ventricle can push out through the aorta to go serve the body, right? So we need to know the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. We need to know the pulmonary veins. We need to know the pulmonary artery and the aorta. So these are the major blood, great vessels we need to know here. And we need to know what is the difference between oxygen poor, oxygen rich blood, which one goes where and how. We know it goes to the lung to receive oxygen. So whatever goes to the lung has to be oxygen poor, because the oxygen is received in the lung, and then when it comes back, it'll be oxygen rich. So the oxygen rich is the same thing as carbon dioxide poor. It's going to be just the opposite, all right? I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in class.